Well, Korea's close neighbor, Japan, is no stranger to strong quakes and tsunamis. Such natural disasters were not much of a concern on this side of the East Sea. But that perception is changing with a major tremor rattling the nation for the second year in a row. Jeong-yeon has the full story.
South Korea was once again hit by an earthquake above magnitude 5. The tremors from the magnitude 5.4 earthquake were felt as far as Seoul, 300 kilometers away from the epicenter in Pohang. The earthquake in Pohang comes around a year after the magnitude 5.8 quake that hit Gyeongju last year, and amid growing concerns that South Korea may no longer be an earthquake safe zone. Here's what the expert has to say.
When we look at the earthquake patterns recorded throughout South Korea's history, quakes have occurred everywhere on the peninsula. They aren't limited to certain areas, so we need to prepare for the possibility of the whole country being prone to big earthquakes and take necessary precautions.
The expert explains that Pohang, where Wednesday's earthquake hit, is situated along what is called an active fault, a fault that has seen seismic activity during the last 10,000 years.
Through this earthquake, the fact that the fault is active is now undisputable. An active fault is always prone to earthquakes, so we must keep a close watch on the region.
More than 40 aftershocks have occurred so far since the main tremor. And although it had a lower magnitude than last year's quake, the Pohang quake has actually caused more damage. The main difference is that the depth of last year's Gyeongju earthquake was between 11 and 16 kilometers, and its epicenter was in a less populated area near the reservoir. But Wednesday's quake was just 9 kilometers below the city in Pohang. Experts say that for now, earthquakes are nearly impossible to predict, but scientists are trying to improve earthquake prediction technology and to come up with more diverse ways to warn the public so as to minimize fatalities. Jeong-yeon, Arirang News.
Around 2:30 p.m. Wednesday, the southeastern part of Korea was hit by an earthquake, a rare occurrence in the nation. With aftershocks still coming, many Pohang residents are at temporary shelters, unable to return home. Oh Jung-hee starts us off with the updates from the quake-hit city.
Broken windows, collapsed walls, cars crushed under debris. These are the visible effects of magnitude 5.4 earthquake that hit Korea's southeastern city of Pohang on Wednesday. Water, gas, and electricity have been cut off, and this area's residents are spread across temporary shelters around the city. On Thursday morning, Pohang citizens tried to make their way back home, but had to return to the emergency shelters due to the persistence of aftershocks. Residents say they're not sure whether they'll be able to return home soon, and some have even considered moving to bigger shelters.
We tried to go into our houses, but because there still were aftershocks, the policemen stopped us. For the next few days, I think the residents of this whole area will have a difficult time. There are cracks on our walls. I hope the government and the Pohang city can get a handle on the situation and help us as quickly as possible.
Since Wednesday's quake, more than 40 aftershocks have been confirmed as of Thursday noon. 62 people were injured and over 1,500 displaced residents are taking refuge in 27 emergency shelters across the city. The government is looking into the possibility of designating Pohang as a special disaster zone. It's also planning to provide additional financial assistance to the city and other affected areas if necessary, as well as tax cuts or deadline extensions for people who suffered property damage. Provincial and municipal governments have dispatched teams of experts, including medical professionals, to look after displaced residents at the shelters, as well as basic necessities such as food and blankets.
3 medical centers from Kimcheon, Andong, and Pohang, all from Gyeongsangbuk-do province, have come here for emergency medical operations. We're offering basic medical checkup for the citizens.
Following last year's powerful 5.8 magnitude earthquake in Gyeongju, Pohang residents agree on one thing.
When there's a natural disaster, it's ordinary citizens who suffer. Korea is no longer a safe country when it comes to earthquakes. I hope the government could take fundamental measures to protect ordinary citizens.
Oh Jung-hee, Arirang News, Pohang.